What's going on, everyone? I'm your host and fellow zombie apocalypse survivor, the True Red Dragon, and in this video, I'm going to be comparing two of the most vicious, persistent, and iconic enemies in the Resident Evil franchise, Mr. X and the Nemesis. And in doing so, I'll be trying to answer a question that has probably crossed every Resident Evil fan's mind at one point or another. Who would win in a fight? So, with all that being said, let's dive right into it. First, let's talk about the towering monolith of leather-wrapped power, Mr. X, also known as Tyrant Model T003. This jacked-up Columbine Mr. Clean was on the warpath in Resident Evil 2. He made Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield's time in Raccoon City a living hell. His mission was to gather samples of the new G-Virus made by Dr. William Birkin, and God help any poor soul unfortunate enough to get in his way. Only the truly resourceful would bring this giant down. The T003 model was the first of the Tyrant series to be mass-produced. Jesus, as if one wasn't enough. So now that you've been formally introduced, let's get into specifics. Mr. X towered above Leon and Claire and was extraordinarily strong, breaking through walls as if they were made of wet, one-ply toilet paper, and picking up human characters effortlessly with one hand. Mr. X had no weapons, but seemed quite content to bludgeon the player to death with his hammer-like fist. His intelligence was upgraded from that of his predecessors, and was able to follow rudimentary instructions. However, he was quite slow in his original form, and walked menacingly towards the player as you pump round after round into him. But it is worth noting that in the animated movie Resident Evil Damnation, Mr. X is seen running in his base form. He was incredibly resilient and took an absurd amount of punishment throughout the course of RE2, and if he wasn't intimidating enough, after taking what one would consider a lethal amount of damage, he then transforms into an even bigger, uglier, and above all, deadlier beast. As he does in the end of RE2, when he falls into the smelter and is presumed to be incinerated. But, just as you are about to escape the city, he appears in all his grotesque glory, shiny new, and ready to rip the player in two. In this form, no longer was he the lumbering giant. Instead, he now favored rushing towards you with lightning speed, with gigantic claws swinging with gusto, with the intent of cutting the player to ribbons. In the end, the player is given a rocket launcher, and this was finally enough to put him down for good. Now let's take a look at arguably the most recognizable and iconic creature in all of Resident Evil. I'm talking, of course, about Nemesis. He made his series debut in Resident Evil 3 and has been a fan favorite ever since. This hulking bazooka-toting fiend relentlessly pursues Jill Valentine all throughout Raccoon City, in much of the same way that Mr. X gave chase to Leon and Claire in the second installment of the series. He's a beast on a mission, and that mission is to eliminate all of the members of the Special Forces unit, STARS, and he, like Mr. X, will stop at nothing to complete his goal. Nemesis is said to be smaller than the other tyrants, but he is still far larger than any human. What the Nemesis lacks in stature is made up for with intelligence. He can follow instructions, he can improvise, and can even use weapons. Ironically, his weapon of choice is a bazooka, which was pretty much the weapon that is known for ending his predecessors and many final bosses throughout the series. Now, you might be saying to me, but Red, if he has the weapon that killed Mr. X in the previous game, doesn't that mean that he would win easily? Well, perhaps not, my eager friend. The Super Tyrant's agility is nothing to sneeze at, and again I will reference the RE Damnation movie, where the T-003 is seen deflecting and even catching rocket-propelled grenades. But back to our original topic. In addition to his weapon, he could also use physical attacks, using his fists and whipping out tentacles to swat at the player or impale. Such was the fate of STAR's Alpha Team chopper pilot, Brad Vickers, where the behemoth saw fit to make an additional hole in his head. Nemesis is also quite fast, and very strong, exhibiting strength at least equal to that of Mr. X, performing many of the same feats. The similarities don't end there. Nemesis is also terribly resilient, and features transformations. In his second form, he no longer has his trusty rocket launcher, as it was destroyed by Carlos. However, it has since been replaced by a copious amount of tentacles that have sprouted up from his back and his right arm. This transformation occurs after old Nemi is presumed to be dead after he falls into a large fire. Are we starting to notice a pattern here? Then he has one more final transformation, which I like to refer to as Fubar Nemesis. Old Cthulhu Face here has a vastly different appearance from his previous two forms. He is considerably larger, now crawls on all fours, sporting a squid-like head, longer tentacles, pustules riddling his body, and what looks like ribs protruding from his back. What's really wild is the fact that even in this horrid and grotesque form, Nemesis is still trying to carry out his original programming and take out the members of STARS. Talk about commitment. You can't even recognize yourself, bud. Just take the damn L. Well, anywho, in this form, Nemi Boy finally meets his end at the business end of a railgun. Now that's what I call firepower. So now that we have the bios covered, let's decide who would be the victor if these two should ever run into each other in a dark alleyway. Both of these monsters share very similar abilities in their base forms, and were it not for the higher intelligence of the Nemesis, I would consider these two even in these respective forms. And, in their second forms, I would consider both to be on equal footing. But, when the Nemesis takes his final form, he has the clear advantage. Basically, the Super Tyrant would have to deal damage equivalent to that of a railgun to defeat him, all the while avoiding being ended by the beast that Nemesis has become. So, with that said, I think it's no contest. The winner is the Sultan of Salami Slap Fights himself, the Nemesis. Now I just want to make it clear that this is just my opinion, and this is totally up for debate. So, if you disagree, tell me in the comments below. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more great content like these videos here. And, if you really want to be my hero, share this video on your various social media. Thanks so much for watching, you guys, and I'll see you on the next video.